This is Clean Life, and I'm Sequoia, leading you into discipline, devotion, and real transformation. Here with me is our radiologist, Nancy,
Hello, everyone.
along with the rest of the Clean Life team, and together we're guiding you through the 2026 The Whole Story Bible Study Reading Challenge. Go ahead and subscribe and tap the notification bell so you stay consistent all year long. Tonight, we're reading 2 Samuel 17 and 18. 2 Samuel, God goes ahead of you and works things out before you arrive. 2 Samuel 18, God can give you victory while still caring for your heart. Let's dive in and grow together chapter by chapter. How you doing, Clean Light? I hope all is well. Everything well with you, Nancy?
Yes, it is.
All right, guys. So I'm gonna just give you a little time to get your Bibles and or just read along on the screen with us, okay? All right, so we're gonna just dive into 2 Samuel chapter 17, 13 through 29, part 2. If he withdraws into a city, then all Israel will bring ropes to that city, and we will drag it down to the valley until not so much as a pebble is left. Absalom and all the men of Israel said, the advice of Hushai the Archite is better than of Ahithophel, for the Lord has determined to frustrate the good advice of Ahithophel in order to bring disaster on Absalom. Hushai told Zadok and Abiathar the priests, Ahithophel was advised Absalom and the elders of Israel to do such and such, but I have advised them to do so and so. Now send a message at once and tell David, do not spend the night at the forest in the wilderness. Cross over without fail, or the king and all the people with him will be swallowed up. Jonathan and Ahimaaz were staying at Enrogel. A female servant was to go and inform them, and they were to go in and tell King David, for they could not risk being seen entering into the city. But a young man saw them and told Absalom. So the two of them left at once and went to the house of a man of Baram. He had a well in his courtyard, and they climbed down into it. All right, guys. So Hushai told Absalom to lead the people to where David was himself. Now you remember that Ahithophel was gonna go himself, but Absalom told Hushai told Absalom it was best for him to lead the people, okay, to where David was himself, and surround him and drive him into a city and bind the whole city by subduing it like do him and everyone in it, okay? God steps in with divine protection, use ordinary people and a wise woman to make sure David remains safe. Okay, so let's kind of break this down a little bit. So remember that Hushai told Absalom that Ahithophel advice wasn't good this time because of the fact that David was a fighter, and his people, he had to train his people to fight. So it wasn't best for him to go and try to subdue his people. It's best to go and get David first, and then get the people all at one time, okay? And he said, be like do and just subdue them all together, okay? And then it said that so after he did that, Hushai told Zadok and Abiathar the priest, Ahithophel, he went to advise them to let David know that they agreed that his advice was better than Ahithophel, and for David not to stay in the night at the forest in the wilderness, but to cross over, okay? Because if he stay, then his son Absalom and the people can, come and get them, right? And so he sent out two young boys to go out and do it. And so that's what we want to talk about, how God used ordinary people, all right,
Yes.
God got ordinary people that will be on your side and you don't even know who God using. God always got somebody, a ram in the bush, somebody that he can use, all right? So don't ever think that you always on your own. People be doing things behind the scene in secret with God, okay? So God set that up for these boys to go ahead and tell David what was happening, what was said and what was going to happen, right? Okay, so then it said Jonathan Hermione standing rigor of female. And then they got a female servant. He used the wise woman. Okay, she went and hid them. Okay, all right, we can go on. All right. His wife took a covering and spread it out over the opening of the well and scattered grain over it. No one knew anything about it. So the lady, the wise woman, she went and covered them up so nobody would know that they even would know where to be found. They was in that well just hiding. And when Absalom men came to the woman at the house, they asked, "Where is Ahimaaz and Jonathan?" Because you remember that boy, it was someone seen him. I don't know if I might didn't mention it, but this boy seen him because you know you always got somebody is lurking and watching you. So at all the time, you need to make sure that whatever you're doing, if you're trying to do something in secret, make sure that you is watching as well as praying, okay? Because somebody is watching what you're doing, and it might be somebody, you get what I'm saying, you don't know it, but if something looks strange to you, make sure, like how these boys did, they saw them, they spotted that somebody was watching them, okay? So that's when they took off and left and went and hid. And had these women that hide them because it was somebody's some boy had been watching them to go back and tell Absalom that he saw them, okay? And the woman answered them, "They crossed over the brook. The men searched but found no one, so they returned to Jerusalem." Okay. So they looked for him, but they didn't find him because she was the wise woman that, kept her mouth closed and didn't say anything. Okay. And so God got somebody, I'm telling you, he had the young boys, and then he also had the woman, the wise woman. They call her a wise woman to make sure she didn't open her mouth and say anything, okay, what was going on. Because if she would have said anything, you know what I'm saying, like try to explain or something, okay, they could have caught on that, oh, she knows something ain't right. So she didn't say anything about it. Said, oh, I don't know whether they crossed over the brook or something. I don't know where they went. Okay. After they had gone, the two climbed out of the well and went to inform King David. They said to him, "Set out and cross over the river at once. Ahithophel had advised such and such against you." Okay, so he letting them know that when they said such and such, he let them know what he said about him, the wise counsel that he gave. Okay, and then it says, so David and all the people with him set out and crossed the Jordan by daybreak. No one was left who had not crossed the Jordan. So he had time, he had enough time to go ahead and go across the Jordan, all him and all the people, right? Because this was in divine timing. When how the boys was maneuvering, God was intervening, but it was the timing. Everything was just right in the flow where everybody was obedient into what God was telling them to do. Get what I'm saying? God was making strategic moves with them to make sure that King David, the plan he had for him did not forfeit. Okay, so when Ahithophel saw that his advice had been followed, he saddled his donkey and set out for his house in his hometown. He put his house in order and then hung himself. So he died and was buried in his father's tomb. Okay. So the fact that he found wind of the fact that, okay, they're not going to go with what I had advised them for them to do. You know what I'm saying? They're going to go with Hushai advice. And not only that, the boy done came back and said they can't find him. So he said, I'm doomed, right? And he felt like I might as well go ahead and, you know what I'm saying, and offer myself because, you know what I'm saying, I'm doomed. I mean, matter of fact, I done betrayed my friend, his friend King David, betrayed him, right? Instead of having a conversation with him and let him know, hey, what you did with my granddaughter and my son-in-law and you broke up my family. Sometimes you need to sit down and have a conversation. He didn't do that. Maybe he might have felt like he couldn't or whatever, or maybe he should have went his own separate ways and was like, no, I don't appreciate what you done. He rather betrayed him and then try to use his son, you know what I'm saying, to portray him against his son, right? And I mean, I know it was all in God's plan too, because God did tell him these things were gonna happen, right? He did say that, but instead, Ahithophel could have handled this another way. He didn't have to get his son to go against his father by telling him to sleep with his concubines and then trying to set up a trap, a way to kill his dad and get all his people, and then try to say that, he was doing it so he can, get rank in the kingdom, right? But Ahithophel had been doing all of that for his own self. He was trying to kill David so he can get the glory and say he done it. You know what I'm saying? He was trying to get the glory for this, not really Absalom. He just was using Absalom because he saw he could use him. He found an opportune time to try to use him. Anyway, like I said, he said, hey, I done betrayed him. And you know that this is just a prototype of who? Judas. We know this with Judas and Jesus. Judas did the same thing, okay? He was the treasurer. You know what I'm saying? He was used. He was one of the people that they really depended on, and trusted. And David trusted Ahithophel, right? Because he always used to give him wise counsel. Like they said, the counsel was so great that they looked at him like he was talking right out of the mouth of God. Right? That said the oracle of God, like it was really truly God's word. And he was until he did that. Okay. And so so like we can look at this as in how Judas betrayed Jesus, and he stole money and he betrayed him, he set him up. And then once he got his aha moment that, you know what, oh my God, look what I did. You know what I'm saying? He turned around, did the same thing. He off himself. Okay, so they just saying that, just look at them Ahithophel versus Judas. Okay, and so that's what he did. And then they said he died and buried himself in his father's tomb. All right, and Absalom's death. David went to Mahanaim, and Absalom crossed the Jordan with all the men of Israel. Absalom had appointed Amasa over the army in the place of Joab. Amasa was the son of Jether and Ishmael, who had married Abigail, the daughter of Nahash, and sister of Zariah, the mother of Joab. Okay, so Absalom established his cousin Amasa, David's nephew, Abigail's son, as host. Joab was loyal and couldn't be bought from King David, so that's why Absalom never asked Joab no way, because he knew he was loyal to David. Okay, and then Abigail and Zariah are sisters. Okay, so Joab and Amasa are cousins. They mothers are sisters, which make Amasa and Joab cousins and King David nieces by relation. So they was some kin to David by the son of Jesse, which is his dad. Okay, so that's how all of them. So all of these people that's being used are family of David's. Okay, so they having like a family affair of them coming against one another. Okay, so the Israelites and Absalom camped in the land of Gilead. When David came to Mahanaim, Shabi, son of Nahash from Rabbah of the Ammonites, and Maker, son of Amil from Lodabar, and Barzillai the Gileadite from Rogelim, brought bedding and bows and articles of pottery. They also brought wheat and barley flour and roasted grain beans and lentils. Excuse me, guys, I'm sorry. Honey and curds, sheep and cheese from cow's milk for David and his people to eat. For they said, the people have become exhausted and hungry and thirsty in the wilderness. Yes. All right, guys. So, okay. So God steps in with divine protection using ordinary people and a wise woman to make sure David remains safe. Ahithophel counsel circle back around him to his own demise. Absalom established his cousin Amasa, David's nephew, Abigail's son, and as host. And Joab was loyal and he couldn't be bought. King David's nephew, Abigail and Zariah, our sister, which makes Amasa and Joab cousin, and King David nieces by relation. Okay, guys, that's the sum of all the family affairs. And then also that God even had provision for David as well. Okay, you can see right here where they brung him bedding, bowls, and articles of pottery. They also brought wheat, barley, flour. So they brought them food. You get what I'm saying? So while they was in the wilderness, they said the people were getting thirsty. But one thing we know about God is He gonna always bring provision. So you don't have to worry about like when you in a wilderness state. You know what I'm saying? And maybe you might can't go out and work and do the things that you normally would do. God always provide. And I can say that for myself, that times when I wasn't able to do the things that I need to do, but I was still doing the work of the Lord. God always made provision. Get what I'm saying? Because He'll use anybody, family members, He'll use anybody. Okay. One thing it said, never seen the righteous forsaken or the seed begging bread. All right. So you're never gonna have to beg for anything. As long as you in the kingdom of God and you being obedient and doing what's right by the Father. And that's what David was doing, He was him and his people was making sure that they was being obedient and doing what God told them to do, and where He led them to go, that's where they went. All right, guys. So we're gonna just end on this. Unless Nancy, you have anything you want to add to it?
No, I didn't have anything to add to it because that's what I got from it too, that God provides. In the
Uh-huh.
very end, everything David went through, God provided for them. They were not left out, even though, before I had said something about the fact that when it came to David, he loved the people that he loved, and he didn't want to see anything happen to him.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the way it always ended up for him.
Mm-hmm.
But
And
God always provided.
Yeah, and I know how you had brung up about how David was really going through a lot, right? And how he went through a lot with his own family too. You hear what I'm saying? It's like everybody in his family, if you notice, and they made it valid points to show you who was who. You get what I'm saying? To let you know these people was on this side, on David's side, and who was on Absalom's side. They made it a valid point to see that sometimes it could be the very people that you are around. You get what I'm saying? That
True.
and can end up being a
That's
problem.
But that's normally nobody can hurt you that don't know you. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't have no involvement with you.
Just
That's
like
normally
access.
what. Yeah, they have to have access to you, and 9 times out of 10, your family has access to you, so they can hurt you more than anybody can.
And then not only that, remember his men that was Ahithophel, he was his right hand, one of his right hand men. He was able to go on the son's side and bring division between him and his son. He was able to do that too. But like we said, what my title was that, David prayers was still answered, and David prayed, and God granted him his prayers. He answered it, okay? And that's one thing. Even though David really did bring a lot of this on himself, because God told him it was gonna be calamity. But you see the fact that God said, "I never leave you nor forsake you." You know what I'm saying? He still was on David's side, regardless of whatever sin or whatever that took place. He said, if you make your bed in hell, I will be there with you. And he was there with him. All right. Okay. So we're gonna go on to 2 Samuel 18. And to be read by my mother.
2 Samuel 18. David mustered the men who were with him and appointed over them commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds. So right here you see David breaking the army down, like he like organizing things. David sent out his troops, a third under the command of Joab, a third under Joab's brother Abishai, son of Zeruiah, and a third under Ittai the Gittite. The king told the troops, I myself will surely march out with you. Now, David, like I said, he said things in order. He let them know, I'm going too. So don't think that I'm just setting you all up to go out to war, but as your leader, I'm going to go out with you. But the men said, you must not go out. If we are forced to flee, they won't care about us. Even if half of us die, they won't care. But you are worth 10,000 of us. It would be better now for you to give us support from the city. So they telling him, we don't want you to go
That's right.
because it makes sense for you to stay behind because really you the one they want. So if they, no matter how many of us they get rid of or unalive or whatever, it's not gonna matter to them. But if they get the opportunity to capture you, that's like capturing 10,000 of us. You know, so we don't want you to go. We want you to stay behind. And
And
I'm
can
gonna
I
tell you
just
something.
okay?
Okay, go on.
No, I'm
No, go
sorry.
on.
I was gonna say, can I just add a little bit of this too about the fact that where David mindset was at. When I had studied this, I had seen that they felt like David mindset was not in the right mindset to go out and go fight either and go to war because you got to think about it. He was going against his son. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? His best friend had done betrayed him, and you know in
Yeah,
Psalms, remember in Psalms he got a poem about how he was betrayed by his one of his closest friend. He
yeah,
was talking
yeah.
about Ahithophel. So they felt
Somebody
like, mhm,
no. Mm-hmm.
yes, they felt like he wasn't in the right frame to be going out anyway. But you can go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, then the king answered, I will do whatever seems best to you. So the king stood beside the gate while all his men marched out in units of hundreds and of thousands. And the thing about this is you can tell David is a humble man because even as king, he is being able to be told what not to do and what to do. You notice that? Like they
Yeah,
told him they didn't want to go, and he said, okay, I won't go. But
yeah.
most people that are in authority, if they say they want to do something, you tell them no, they'll tell you, you don't tell me what to do, I tell you.
And you know, and it made me think about too what's coming to my mind. He probably didn't want to see his son. He probably, he probably felt like I don't even want to see my son in this count. You know what I'm saying? Like he gonna have to look his son eye to eye and know that he can do something to hurt his son, or his son can hurt him. You know what I'm saying? So
Well, he might didn't want to see his son, but it ain't. But I think that God blessed him in the sense that they told him not to go.
yeah,
That way, he didn't deal with none of that, and he didn't have to look at it like he was saying to himself, "I couldn't do it because it was my son." Because sometimes people feel like they are not living up to who they supposed to be. If there's a place they think they should walk in, but they can't, or they don't. But because they told him not to, he wasn't the one saying, "Well, I don't want to go. I don't want to this or that." He wanted to go. He said, but they said no. And he was willing to listen to them. And like I said, I think that's a good thing that he's in leadership and he'll listen to what somebody else say. Because most of the time, people that are in leadership want around them a bunch of yes people.
mm,
Like what I say, do you do? What I say, don't. You know what I'm saying? Most people in leadership want somebody around them that'll do everything they tell them, or
yeah,
won't try to tell them what's wrong or whatever like that. But he seems like he's a king that is willing to listen to what other people say. And even when I can't think of that prophet that came to him and told him he was the man
yeah.
that did what had happened,
Mm.
he listening.
But see,
You know
that's
what I'm
what
saying?
they
Like some
did.
people
They
be like,
but
"That's
but
not me."
But you see, now back then, cause you thinking about us Americanized people too. That you're looking at it from the back then, they listened to the prophet, like, and God even saying His word. He don't even put a word out until it's in the prophet's mouth, right? The word can't even go out. So that's something they did. They honored that. They honored the prophet back then, and they went because they knew that the word was in. The word came from God. It was from out the mouth of God. So that's why you can say that you see that as like it's repetitious in the Bible that they listen because they did back then, and they when this how it's supposed to be now. You get what I'm saying? Long it's a prophet that you know what I'm saying that's really hearing from
Yeah,
God.
yeah. The king commanded Joab of Abishai and Ittai, be gentle with the young man Absalom for my sake. And all the troops heard the king giving orders concerning Absalom to each of the commanders. So everybody heard what David said, what King David said. So more or less, when he told the leaders that, he was speaking to the underlings too. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So more or less, when he told the leaders that, he was telling everybody that. He wasn't just telling the leaders that.
Yeah.
David's army marched out of the city to fight Israel, and the battle took place in the forest of Ephraim. There, Israel's troops were routed by David's men, and the casualties that day were great. 20,000 men. They were fighting up a storm. I mean,
Yeah.
really, they were fighting.
Yeah.
I mean, oh, they were fighting. 20,000 men in one day, that's a lot of people to be
Yeah.
unalived in one day. And this was David's people that did that.
Yeah. Because they had done warn him anyway about his father's people. They was like they were trained. You know what I'm saying? By the
Yeah.
best. They were trained by the best.
Mm. The battle spread out over the whole countryside, and the forest swallowed up more than men that day than the sword.
Mm-hmm.
Now Absalom happened to meet David's men. He was riding his mule, and as the mule went under the thick branches of a large oak, Absalom's hair got caught in the tree. He was left hanging in midair, while the mule he was riding kept on going. Ain't that something?
Mm-hmm.
He got caught, his hair got caught. So that means he was hanging in a tree.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't nothing he could do to get himself off of the tree. All the stuff that he had done, everything he had done against his dad. Now he is hanging in the tree, and the very people that's coming to go to war with him is seeing him hanging. And then they could do whatever they wanted to him, and there was nothing he could do about it. I think in my mind, I probably would have been so frightened. I probably would have been so scared,
He
hanging in
shouldn't
that tree like that,
he
and
shouldn't
couldn't
have
do
been
nothing for
going he
himself.
shouldn't have been going against his daddy, no way.
I know, but I'm just saying, just the fact I mean, what's the odds of something like that happening to somebody? And how
No.
much hair did he have on his head
Remember he
that
used
it
to
was
get
able to get all that his
remember he used
face?
to get it cut. Remember they talked about how much he used to get cut off, remember? Like he used to
Yeah,
get
but you
so
would think he
many.
was getting it cut off, he didn't have so much hair hanging still.
He probably hadn't got it cut in a while, but they did make
Mm.
mention about how he used to get his hair cut, and that's probably why they did, because this was gonna happen. Him getting that
What
haircut.
happened?
Him getting that. He should have had probably had done got a haircut, but no, what he shouldn't have been doing was going against his daddy. He should not, like, why would you
Yeah.
try to like off your daddy and you was already next up? Like, you know what I'm saying? To be king. You trying to be king while he alive. That okay, let me go on.
When one of the men saw what had happened, he told Joab, I saw Absalom hanging in an oak tree. Now, who's to say that he would go tell him that? Because if you think about it, him going to tell him that is like saying that he getting ready to have an unalive sentence.
Hmm.
Because this is the person that's in control. This is the person that's in authority.
But
And so he did right by letting him know.
yeah,
But at the same time, he looking at it like, well, if you had that opportunity, why you didn't take it? That's how Joab looking at,
yeah,
this
and the
person.
men weren't looking at it like that. The men were looking
I
at it
know.
like, are we supposed to save him? Because remember what the king told us.
You
That's
see,
he
I
looking
know.
at it like, I shall not touch the king's son.
Yeah. And Joab said to the man who had told him this, what? You saw him? Why didn't you strike him to the ground right there? Then I would have had to give you 10 shekels of silver and a warrior's belt. What? He was gonna pay him
Mm-hmm.
if he had done it. And what made him know that it would have been 10 shekels of silver
Because
and a warrior's belt?
that's what they normally give, out. That's the reward.
Hmm. I had never heard that being said, that if somebody off somebody like that, that's what they got.
So you
And
think he was bluffing?
I, well, I have never heard that before. I I don't understand why he would have 10 shekels of silver out there and a warrior's belt out there with him, unless he's talking about after the war is over with, he's gonna
Maybe.
give it to him. You know. But the man replied, even if 1,000 shekels were weighed out in my hands, I would not lay a hand on the king's son. In our hearing, the king commanded you and Abishai and Ittai, protect the young man Absalom for my sake. So that goes to show you the difference between a person that is under authority and a person that's in authority. Because that person was on authority to the king and to the commander, right?
Uh-huh.
So he was only going to do what the king said. But what you call him is not under authority. He's supposed to be, right? But he's not Joab. He's not under authority. As far as he's concerned, he feel like when he at war, he's the authority. So that's why he's saying what he's saying.
Oh
And that
yeah,
man, the reason,
he the right
huh?
he the commander in charge right now. David ain't there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So
you.
he's looking at it like, what I say is what go. It don't matter what David said when we were out there, but now we at war. We're in the
Mm,
middle of war. So I rule this yard. You know what I'm saying? So, but that man said, no, I would never do. I wouldn't care how much you gave me. I wouldn't have not have ever done that. But that's because that man is under authority. And he
mm-hmm.
heard what a person that was in authority said to the people that's supposed to be in authority over him. So he didn't feel like that was a decision that he would have ever made. I mean, even to the point where he said, protect the young man Absalom for my sake. He said word for word what David said. And look, David wasn't even talking to him. He was talking to the ones that he had in leadership. But the word of God said that everybody heard it though.
Uh,
And so since everybody heard it, then everybody was supposed to, right, follow along, go along, do whatever David had said. But Joab said no. And if I had put my life and if I had put my life in jeopardy, and nothing is hidden from the king, you would have kept your distance from me. Joab said, I'm not going to wait like this for you. So he took 3 javelins in his hand and plunged them into Absalom's heart while Absalom was still alive in the oak tree. So he just went on and unalived him. He didn't talk to that man no more about it. He didn't discuss it with him. He just went and did it. And 10 of Joab's armor bearers surrounded Absalom, struck him, and killed him. I mean, come on, how many times did he need to be unalive? Because it said Absalom took 3 javelins in his hand and plunged them in Absalom's heart. But then it said 10 of his armor bearers surrounded Absalom and struck him. I mean, my God. So he wasn't unalive from the fact that he had been struck in his heart with 3 javelins. Then Joab sounded the trumpet, and the troops stopped pursuing Israel. For Joab halted them. They took Absalom, threw him into a big pit in the forest, and piled up a large heap of rocks over him. Meanwhile, all the Israelites fled to their homes. Those people were afraid. And some kind of way, they came to the understanding and full knowledge. Somebody went and told them that Absalom was no longer alive.
mm-hmm.
Because it does not say that any of them was around when it happened. But some kind of way they got word. Well, it might have been why, because Joab pulled everybody back. He halted them from going after them, so they knew if that had happened, that meant that Absalom was no longer with them. That's what, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because it doesn't say anything about the fact that they found out about it. During his lifetime, Absalom had taken a pillar and erected it in the king's valley as a monument to himself. He thought, I have no son to carry on the memory of my name. He named the pillar after himself and called it Absalom's monument to this day. Isn't it something? You have to be, I tell you, it's something how some will be put in your spirit to do something for a reason that you just think you're doing it. But there's a real reason behind it. Because really, did he know that he would never have no sons? That this was going to be what his end was going to be? You get what I'm saying? Like, he put a monument up to himself before he ever left here. That's why I don't feel like.
But he is gonna have a son.
Oh, he will have a son?
He
Absolutely.
No, I'm talking about David. He gonna have a son though.
No, I'm talking about during his lifetime, Absalom had taken a pillar and erected it
Mm.
in King's Valley as a monument to himself. So he had taken a pillar and erected him to himself, and he had given it a name. He said, I have no son to carry on memory of my name. So at that
Okay.
time, he was saying he didn't have no son to carry on memory of his name. So he erected like a statue, a pillar, or something to remind people that he had been there. You know how sometimes people write their name on a wall or
Oh,
something in memory. And he said he did that because he didn't have no sons. And he said he named the pillar after himself and
okay.
called Absalom it Absalom's monument to this day. So what I'm saying is, it was like a foretelling
God.
because he did a monument and he was still here. So
Yeah.
he knew that that he wasn't gonna be here, or maybe he didn't know it. Maybe he was just doing what was in his spirit to do.
Okay, I
But
get
it
it.
just seemed like he kind of knew. David mourns. Now Ahimaaz, son of Zodek, said, let me run and take the news to the king that the Lord has vindicated him by delivering him from the hand of his enemies. And that's one thing I don't think I would have wanted to do. Because remember when that other person did that, they ended up being unalive. Because
Mm.
they thought he was gonna be happy, remember? But
Mm.
he wasn't. He wasn't. So this person is going to be discouraged, being discouraged not to do that. We can go forward. You are not the one to take the news today, Joab told him. You may take news another time, but you must not do so today because the king's son is dead. So he
Mm-hmm.
telling him, you ain't the one to do it. Was that his son? Was that Joab's son, Canaan?
Mm-hmm.
That was talking about he wanted to go tell
Go back.
King David
Go back to
about what this now Ahimaaz son of Zodek. He
uh
was the son of Zodek, said, let me run
uh-huh.
and tell
They got yeah,
to the
see it.
king. But
Mm.
then Joab told him no, because the king's son was dead.
Okay,
So
go
why
ahead.
didn't he feel
Go
that
ahead.
he should have been the one that send it, that told the news? Then
Um
Joab said to a Cushite, go tell the king what you have seen. The Cushite bowed down Joab before Joab and ran off. So he told the Cushite to go and tell. There's got to be something or reason behind him using the Cushite instead of using the other person. Ahimaaz, son of Zodek, again said to Joab, come what may, please let me run behind the Cushite. So Ahimaaz, he wanted to go bad and tell King David about,
If-
because he was willing to run behind the man that was already running. And I think he going to beat the man there. But Joab replied, my son, where do you want to go? You don't have any news that will bring you rewards. You see what I'm saying?
yeah.
Because he's telling him that it ain't going to be good for you if you do that. He said, come what may, I want to run. He said, so it don't matter what come at me or what happened to me, I want to run. So Joab said, run. Then Ahimaaz ran by way of the plain and outran the Cushite. So he ran faster than the man that had already left to go. Why? Yeah, because that Cushite probably knew what was getting ready to happen. While David was sitting between the inner and outer gates, the watchman went up to the roof of the gateway by the wall. As he looked out, he saw a man running alone. The watchman called out to the king and reported it. The king said, if he is alone, he must have good news. And the runner came closer and closer.
Mm-hmm.
Then the watchman saw another runner, and he called down the gatekeeper, look, another man running alone.
Mm-hmm. And so I looked it up for you next. It said Joab told the Cushite to report to King David because Absalom was dead. Joab had killed Absalom against David direct orders. He used a foreigner servant instead of his friend Ahimaaz to deliver the harsh truth to protect a prominent Israelite from the king's anger and safely convey the outcome of the battle.
Yeah.
Okay,
As
so
I
he
told you the other time when it happened, he ended up unaliving that person that came to
yeah,
him.
because they said he would have been mad. So
You can go on ahead. The king said he must be bringing good news too. The watchman said, it seems to me that the first one runs like Ahimaaz, son of Zodek. He's a good man, the king said. He comes with good news. Then Ahimaaz called out to the king, all is well. He bowed down before the king with his face to the ground and said, praise be to the Lord your God. He has delivered up those who lifted their hands against my lord the king. The king asked, is the young man Absalom safe? Ahimaaz answered, I saw great confusion just as Joab was about to send the king's servant and me, your servant, but I don't know what it was. The king said, stand aside and wait here. So he stepped aside and stood there. Then the Cushite arrived and said, my lord the king, hear the good news. The Lord has vindicated you today by delivering you from the hands of all who rose up against you. The king asked the Cushite, is the young man Absalom safe? The Cushite replied, may the enemies of my lord the king and all who rise up to harm you be like that young man. The king was shaken. So, really, in all actuality, Ahimaaz didn't know what had happened to Absalom. They had kept that from him. The Cushite replied, okay. The king was shaken. He went up in the room over the gateway and wept. As he went, he said, oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, if only I had died instead of you. Oh, Absalom, my son, my son. So now he's grieving his son. Second Samuel. Excuse me. Go on.
No, I said he was really hoping and praying his son was alive. Like he really, like I'm talking about. They said there goes somebody else. There goes the good news. There go the good news. The good news was to say that his son was alive. He really wanted them to honor what he told them to make sure they were gentle with his son. Now he knew they were gonna rough him up, but he didn't want them to kill him. You know what I'm saying? So it's sad.
Yeah, but 2 Samuel 18 isn't about a battle. It's about rebellion, consequences, love, protection, obedience, and grief. Absalom wanted the throne badly enough to rebel against his father. David wanted to protect his son even after his son had rebelled against him. And underneath all of it is the reminder that God sees the entire story, but we can only see the moment we're living through. And that God knows that is so true. Because I don't know nobody that want their child or even their family member to be unalived, even if they do something wrong to them. I don't think nobody wish that on their family member. There may be people that will, but that's not anything from what I can see that I would ever wish on any family member of mine, even though I've had people that have done me dirty. I mean, dirty. And I remember telling Mary one time after going through something that I wouldn't wish what I had went through on my worst enemy. And she said, you sure? You sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. I'm very sure. Because I felt like I had went through the most horrific thing in my life. And I never wanted to see that again. I never wanted to deal with that again. And I believe with all my heart that I was a person that believed in letting God deal with people. That whatever they did it. And I'm telling you, those same people, I prayed for them. I fasted for them. Because I knew what they had done was not in the will of God.
Yeah.
But I knew nothing I could do about it. And that's how David is. Really, if you think about it, he know his son wasn't doing what was right. And he know that his son was going against God. But he still didn't want his son to be unalive.
And then to see too, though, David knew a lot of it he had brung on himself. You know what I'm saying? And he might have felt like I done put my sons them in a position where, you know what I'm saying, they don't respect me. You know what I mean? It's ways he could have looked at that too. You know what I'm saying? He might have felt like guilty. He might have felt guilty about the whole situation, and maybe might have felt he didn't handle it right. When
There's no perfect person. And see that,
Yeah,
and that's what people realize and understand. Nobody is perfect. We
yeah,
all fall short of the glory of God. That's what the word of God says. And
yeah,
so sometimes we will make mistakes, and then our children have to pay for the mistakes that we make. But it ain't because we want our children to have to deal with different things or have to deal with whatever. It's
yeah.
just that's the way it is.
But yeah,
Okay, what
that's
you gonna
true.
do? I mean, when it's all said and done, what can you do? Only to pray and ask God not to unalive your child. The same
Yeah,
way he did when it came to Bathsheba and his baby. Even though he knew he had done wrong, he still cried out to God and asked him not to unalive his child. But
yeah,
when God did, he had to say, okay, this is the way it is. I need to get up now and keep on living.
yeah,
I'm still alive.
yeah.
And I
And
did
I thought
wrong.
about, yeah, I thought about too. He might have felt that he didn't handle it right too. When Absalom was hurt about what they son the other brother did to the girl. You know what I'm saying, to the sister. And remember, he took time, a lot of time to get come back around him. It's like he almost like he couldn't forgive him. So it's many things can play into what he might was going through too, and why those people didn't want him to go help fight, because they knew that he had been going through a really like a horrific time when it came to his children. Like you said, you wouldn't want nothing to happen to your children. He had one
No,
thing
you
after another, after another, after another. You know, and I really felt like he decided not to go to that fight. He didn't want. I don't think he wanted to see his son. He didn't want to have to look him in the face. You know what I'm saying? To see that my own flesh and blood is against me. You know,
Well, do you think that if they'd have kept Absalom alive, that David would have had the peace that he needed?
I just it makes me want. I know things got to go the way it go because it's written. It's already written for a time before I would learn it. It's before I learn it's already written. The scriptures are. It made me think about too, like what Absalom would have kept on trying to go after the daddy. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
Would he would have stopped? God knows our heart too. He know
Yeah.
our heart. He know if Absalom would have kept on. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so that could have been a reason too why that he was able to be unalive. You know what I'm saying? I know David wanted his son, but God had a different
Yep.
plan, because Solomon finna come and play as well, his other son.
I know he gonna be a king.
And that's what I was thinking about when you were saying something about won't having a son. I was thinking about Solomon, that Solomon, he was gonna come and play, and you get what I'm saying. And you know what Solomon gonna do for the kingdom too. So I guess it's all in God's planning. And then God knows when we're gonna leave here too. He know what we're here for, and when it's time to go. Even though we
And I can
might, what I'm saying, might not feel like
yeah,
it's best.
yeah, but I can tell you that even in that day, that that is what that a person may be walking in that they don't know that they're walking in.
Yeah.
The same way that Solomon ended up being the one that God used for certain things. He might would have wanted to use David, but he realized he couldn't use David. And so therefore he pulled Solomon in and he used Solomon. But it
Somebody.
was still from his line, still from David's line, lineage.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Solomon was
Hmm.
God can replace you with somebody else.
And Solomon
There
is
are
from Bathsheba,
something
right?
that God use you with. I think so. That was Bathsheba's son,
Yeah,
Solomon.
Solomon. Yeah, Solomon is
Yeah,
Solomon's from.
remember the first baby passed.
Yes.
Remember the first baby passed.
And so this is just a sign of God's grace, right? And mercy.
Mm-hmm.
That I can take
Yes.
something that was made for the bad and turn it around for the good.
For good.
Yeah, and turn around for the good, right? Because Solomon going to be for the one that's for the good. And not saying that Absalom wasn't it, because Absalom had every right to be mad at his brother, right? He just took it too far. He should have left it in God's hand. You get what I'm saying? He shouldn't have, had off his brother and then come after his father because he felt like he wasn't treated fair. And that's something we got to think about and we got to know down in our heart. Even though we might feel like stuff ain't fair, we still can't take it out of our hands and take it out of, God's hand and do what God's supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? We can't just do that. A lot of things in life ain't fair. You know what I'm saying? We don't need to go off of what's not fair. We need to find out through prayer, through God, what's right. You get what I'm saying? Because fair can get us not thinking things. Fair can get us in a lot of situations that we don't want to be in. Okay? And so that's something that we can look at, like, you get what I'm saying? And I mean, I'm not just saying like, oh, it don't supposed to hurt. I ain't say you ain't gonna cry. You get what I'm saying? And I ain't gonna say you ain't gonna go through some things, right?
That's true.
But God'll use how He choose to use them.
And you can't get mad or treat somebody else bad because you feel like God used you a particular way. Because the way I look at it is this: I've been used a whole lot of ways by God to help other people, to do things for people. But let me say, I never blame nobody for nothing. Like I said, even when I went through some horrendous stuff, I didn't blame those people. And that's one of the reasons why my sister Mary asked me, was I telling the truth? Like when I said, I don't want those people to go through nothing, and I wasn't putting this on my worst enemy. And she asked me, is that true? Do you really mean that? Because she was looking at me like, if that was me, I don't know if I'd be saying that. But she knew that it was the God in me that was saying what I was saying.
And
because I went through
I get what you're saying. And then you gotta make sure that, and then we gotta make sure too, is we looking at it as the right, correct way too? Is we looking at it as like somebody, is trying to put off on somebody what they going through, or is they trying to get help and allow people to help them through the way? Because we may look at it like, oh, it's this or that is like I'm trying to be the one, but God might be speaking through that person to even help you too. You get what I'm saying? It may look a particular way, but that's when you need to go to God and make sure, hey, am I seeing this right? Am I looking at this right?
That's true.
I'm serious. You got to dive deep. I done found out that I had to dive deep into, what used to work ain't working no more. And God needs for you to come another way. Sometimes I'm gonna tell you something. Sometimes it's not working no more. Sometimes you got to confront the issue or the problem. Something that's just, you get what I'm saying. Especially if you know you a person like David. Get what I'm saying? He didn't want to confront his son. He didn't want to confront his kids about nothing. You know what I'm saying? He was one of the ones that sweep stuff under the rug.
That when they come to their children.
Yes.
They want them to do what's right. They want, but they don't. I don't know.
But you gotta sometimes. I'm gonna tell you sometimes you gotta confront the problem that's at hand, and sometimes you might have to look like the bad guy. But I guarantee you, by and by, the people gonna respect you, and they're gonna say, you know what? I understand now. You get what I'm saying? You know how you say, aha, I understand now. That's what the kids say. You remember that? Y'all had that little saying, I understand now, right? When they finally got something, you know how you might tell them over and over, and then they finally get it. I understand now. That's how we have to be. Oh, I understand now, right? That was only there for protecting me and looking out for my good. That's what God does. He look out for our good. Like I was saying, sometimes though we have to confront things head on. Because guess what? I'm going to tell you something, what I'm learning. God ain't going to let you come out until you do. He ain't letting you. If he using you, he ain't letting you come out until you do exactly what he's calling you to do. And then, release will come. We can try to be avoid things all we want to. But that's not the way God does things. You know what I'm saying? He don't want us to avoid. He wants us to confront, right? So he can get the glory. He want to get, that's his main focus, to get the glory. Right? And so we can look at
Amen.
this as if, hey, David didn't want this to happen, but this is the way God, designed for it to be.
Yeah.
Who are we to say, you get what I'm saying? When somebody
And
spoke,
all of this had to happen. All this had to happen for us to be in the position we are now in
thank you.
God.
That's
That
right.
there's a door, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
and we don't understand the whole story. We don't understand the full picture.
Yeah.
And I know one of the videos I did is talking about how God can use you in areas and you don't even know why, and you don't understand, and you may never know
I
how
mean,
God
just
have
like
used.
the depiction of you saying about him hanging in the tree, you were asking, was that some simulation of Jesus? Because
Yeah,
David's lineage is all about the coming to know Jesus Christ and his
yes,
suffering, his resurrection, right?
yeah,
David's the prototype. His family was the pro. Don't think his family the prototype as well, because guess what? The people that was around Jesus, his people didn't believe him, betrayed him. You know what I'm saying? Talked about him,
yeah.
put him down, did all the same stuff David going through. Jesus had to go through the same stuff.
Amen.
So you're right. This was the plan. This was the plan God had in play, because we, like I said, if it weren't for this, we would not be where we at today. It's nowhere. It wouldn't have been nowhere around it. And it's the same like for our family or what happened when it come to us. God got a plan for our life. And sometimes we need to look at it like we just where we supposed to be. We may think we're not.
Amen.
Whew, Jesus. Mm. Because God
Yeah,
allowed it. God allowed it.
that's right.
He did. He allowed it. I had to look at something like, now God allowed this. So if God allowed it, and He said the scriptures is for our learning, it's time to learn something. It's
Amen.
time to learn.
Amen.
All right, guys. So
Amen.
this is where we're gonna go to the next segment of giving your life to Christ. Okay. My granddaughter's gonna come up here and read Romans 10 verse 9 and John 3:16.
Romans 10, verse 9. If you declare with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. Come as you are, and God will do the cleaning up.
All right, guys. Like she said, come as you are, and God will do the cleaning up. I just want to thank you, Clean Life. I know we ain't been on for a little while, been a couple of weeks. My mama, she kept talking to me, trying to get me to come on. Don't think she did. Yeah, so she was talking to me, and I was praying to make sure uh, I was where I was supposed to be at when it came to Clean Life, right? And God gave me the okay to move on, so that's what we at now. So we appreciate your time, Clean Life. Share the inspiration by following us on Facebook and subscribing to Clean Life with Sequoia on YouTube. Hold close the promises of Romans 9 on 10 verse 9 and know that you're surrounded by our love and God's love. All right, and goodbye, and have a prosperous weekend. Rest of this week and weekend. And matter of fact, just have a prosperous life, guys, because you deserve it. I want you all to know that everything that all the benefits that God has for you in his word, go in there and find it, because you deserve it. I really feel like you deserve it right now, okay? Because everybody is
Mhm.
going through some things. You hear me? Hey, you might as well go ahead and get the benefits while you're going through, okay? That's my prayer for you, to get the benefits while you're going through, and be obedient and do what God called you to do, and let him use you so he can get the
Amen.
glory out of our lives, guys. That's all. He want to get the glory. You know what I'm saying? Just point everything back to when you come out, point to him. God did it. How I did it, God did it. How did it happen? God did it. He just want to get the glory out of our life. That's all. And we owe it to him. We owe him to be able to get the glory. Nancy, you got anything else you want to add?
No, I'm just so thankful to be back with Clean Life and for us to, be back on the platform. And I want y'all to know that God loves you. He cares so much for you. And there's no good thing will he withhold from you if you walk upright before him.
Wow. Love that. Love that. All right. Okay, guys. We'll see you next week. God's willing. Peace. Love you.